Hi, thanks for joining me in this video. I'm Marc and we're going to take a look at connecting the Nord Stage 3 with the Boss RC-505 loop station by way of the MIDI cable in order to synchronize the arpeggiator on the Nord 3. So we've got a lot going on here. First, I'm going to show you how to connect it. It's actually really simple. And after we connect it, we will play some things and put some practical music to it as well. All right, hope you enjoy. Thanks. Okay, first I have here the Boss RC-505 loop station, and you'll see here there's an option for MIDI out. Let's take a look at that MIDI cable. Nothing really fancy. It's a traditional MIDI cable. You can get these online or at your local music store, and that is going to go over here to the Nord Stage 3, and in this case you'll see it from the top. You'll see that it goes into the MIDI in here. So MIDI in, and let's take a look at what it looks like from the back. Right there you can see the MIDI in, the one that's plugged in. And it's really that simple. And on the Nord, try to keep this camera as still as possible, when you want to see what the tempo is, you simply click the master clock button right there. Now if you click it once, the screen will display and then go away. So you have to hold the shift key, which is down here. Hold the shift. You can even do it with one hand. As a keyboardist, we have the advantage of being able to click two buttons with one hand. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding it here and using my middle finger like that. That way you can play with your left hand and do buttons. Anyway, that's a technique for another day. But now that'll hold true. So that's 100. Now let's go over here to the, and you'll see that that's 100. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it to something higher. Let's just say 111. And just like that, I haven't touched it. You have to take my word for it. It's 111. So those are completely synchronized. Okay, now here's the part where we actually play music out of the arpeggiator and get all this working together. Behind me, the RC-505 loop station, as usual. And I'm going to go ahead and play 100 beats per minute and then turn the arpeggiator on and watch that happen. Okay, drums. Okay, got the arpeggiator going, and you can see that the drums are in sync with the arpeggiator. I should say the arpeggiator is in sync with the drums. Now we're at 140 beats per minute and we haven't lost anything, so that's a really cool technique. Okay, so what I'm going to show you next is I'm going to play with the arpeggiator in a couple of different styles, or 3 or 4 different styles. The first time through, I'll kind of hold the notes, which is typical of what people think of when they think about playing with the arpeggiator. And I'm going to use the KB hold button on the Nord 3, which is a nifty way of having the keyboard hold whatever note you're doing. It's almost like holding the sustain pedal, but without having to hit the sustain pedal. It's very handy when you're using the arpeggiator, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to show you some different techniques. First the hold, then I'll try to do like an up pattern, and then I'll do an octaves down pattern, and then finally like 3 notes kind of playing along in a down pattern. And I'll record one of those. I'll probably record the first one. And then I'll add some piano and maybe a little guitar or electric guitar or whatever you want to call it. Whatever comes out of the synth there. I'm not sure exactly what you'd call it. Combination of things. And then I'll slow it down at the end. I think if I can get all this done in one take, we'll see. But anyway, this will give you a full exploratory view of arpeggiator and then playing along with that. And I encourage you to turn your arpeggiator on using some of the techniques I'm going to show you and just have some fun, because it really does expand your mind. And then one last comment about the arpeggiator. For the speed, I'm using the 16th notes, so 1/16, which means there'll be 16 notes per measure. So that's the current calibration that it is. It's still going to be 140 beats per minute, but it's segmented into 16 notes. So the arpeggiator allows you to segment it all the way from like half notes or quarter notes all the way through like 30-second notes. And then it does triplets in between. So there's a lot of nifty segments you can have with the arpeggiator. They call it a rate, but it really is segments within the beat. Okay, all right, let's do this.